As far as introduction to Gen AI is considered, I don't think anyone here is new to Gen AI. You all must have already heard about the term Gen AI. It's been popular since last 1 year, too much, especially after ChatGPT coming into hands of everyone. ChatGPT, Copilot, Cursor are nothing new to anyone as of now. We have been heavily using ChatGPT, OpenAI APIs since last 1.5 years now, and it's being uh, first of all, in a single word, it's being very uh, more productive for us in every sense. Overall pipeline building times, overall deployment times, debugging, all that has reduced drastically. And a team which used to take multiple days over implementing something can now do multiple experiments in a single day. So that is a big difference which Gen AI is definitely created for us. As Gen AI is how it is different from AI, obviously. So AI used to give us transformations, categorizations, classifications on the basis of ML models which were there. But Gen AI takes us a step forward where it can produce results on the basis of the huge data set which is available with it. It can create results, it can create code, it can create images, videos, which you all must have already heard about. So let's not uh, go into details what and how Gen AI is producing it, but let's go for what it can help us with in DevOps especially. So, as I mentioned, let's go step by step. So, obviously, first it shortens debugging cycles. I think if anyone have you have used it, that was the first step where you went to for Gen AI. It's a big problem, especially in DevOps. We all face it. There are huge log files. There are multiple lines of config files which are there, and to analyze each of them line by line used to take a long time to debug a small problem. So, for instance, if you start getting 502s, which is definitely a nightmare for anyone who is doing DevOps, you have to explore various reasons why it is happening. So, just for debugging, you can start with anything like I'm getting 502s. What could be possible positions where it could be there? But one thing is for sure that you need to understand your network, how things are working. But once you know that, you can definitely pinpoint and debug things as quick as in minutes and further deploy it to your production if you're getting things on production broken. Another thing is reducing cognitive load on engineers. So, a lot of load has been reduced and given to ChatGPT now. It is literally working as a virtual assistant for anyone, and all the redos or time taking script writing, all those things has been completely off the table now. Most of that is done by GPT, and this saves a lot of time, which in turn brings productivity and efficiency to the team. Intelligent suggestions with minimal inputs. So we all have studied something which remains in our brain, but GPT has vast knowledge, and with 4.1 coming in, it's almost 80% of world's most script texted typed data which is present in the models now, and that amount of knowledge carrying in your head is not possible. So that is something which it helps us tremendously, that you have multiple intelligent solutions within minutes on your screen, and you can analyze them and then eventually implement them which ones, because you cannot go about asking or thinking about what to read, what not to read, but here you get it in a concise way with just asking as something as simple as that I want to create a CI/CD pipeline via Jenkins, and you will have multiple options on your screen on and the best part of it that you can always ask it to ask questions about your contextual environment, how you are about to build it. All those things can be asked on the chat itself, and that eventually helps you bring final production code, a production level pipeline in hardly an hour or so, even if you are new. But obviously you need that pedigree, your KTs should be there so that you understand your environment. Without that, trust me, you will go haywire. Nothing will come as an output. So that caution has to be there always. So I already told you about few of these things: CI/CD pipelines, infra as code, which I think every one of you who is attending today is very much aware about. We are moving towards an infrastructure where there are more number of YML files, config files, and that code which eventually tries to minimize UI level interactions and eventually help us to scale up things in a faster way. So all those things, infra as code, is something which can be easily generated, and just giving it the context what all you need in your configurations for handling a particular service, and it will give you that in minutes. Test case generation. So one thing which I feel has transformed drastically, especially in my team. uh, Initially, we used to say that, oh, my code is 40% test coverage, has 50% test coverage, 60% test coverage. But now, since GPT is there, OpenAI or Gemini, so OpenAI and Gemini both we are using heavily, uh, that thought has gone that it has to be 50%, 60%. Everything that you're writing code for, you can generate its test cases in minutes, and that time which used to be a blocker for anyone to write test cases has gone away. So that's why now codes can be 100% with test cases, and which eventually avoids a lot of pain later when you are writing a huge set of legacy codes for huge production level organizations. Log analysis and RCAs, again, something which is something that any DevOps engineer knows that uh, analyzing a log file used to be a pain. It's thousands of lines. Even if you're getting few lines where error is there, so even if you have to analyze 50 lines, that 50 lines used to be taking a long time to understand what or where it is going wrong. Now at least you can have an upfront minimal result as soon as you paste it onto the chat, and then you can analyze, yes, these three options, and out of these three options, which might be a reason for my environment. So again, environment analysis and environment KD has to be there in your mind. You cannot still rely only on Gen AI for producing final results. But yes, you can quicken up those things for log analysis and RCAs, and eventually put in uh, uh, bug solvings into place. Deployment strategies. So uh, I have that example later in my slides as well, but uh, technology evolves every 2 to 3 years, and things go deprecated very fast, very fast. And that has been happening for last 15 odd years now. And it's difficult to be in a production environment with legacy code to modernize things again and again, again and again, because that involves a lot of time, and especially something which is up and running, you don't tend to tweak it or change it. But with Gen AI, you can be at par with what's going on latest in the market. Not just that, if you are aware, then also, if you're not aware, then also you get those results out of the box, out of the chat itself, that yes, these changes can be done, which we'll discuss in detail from our real life real use cases which we have done here at Fashinza. Documentation and release notes, again, just like test cases, this used to be a pain point for any engineer. So creating complete architectural diagrams. So have worked as a principal engineer, and I know how long it used to take those flowcharts, diagrams, architectures to build uh, via even by any tool. Drawing those boxes and lines used to be a pain point for anyone, and time taking. And it literally seemed like that. Why am I doing that? But now with the capability with Gen AI, you just need to share a few text lines, and it will create all those beautiful architecture, images, notes, documents, everything for you in minutes, and you can easily publish them. Obviously, you need to review them so that things are what you have in that context has been passed completely or not. But yes, those things which everyone used to imagine that this is my dream code or this is my dream repository, how it would look like with every README file, with every test case, that is a possibility now. Best security practices, cybersecurity. I think everyone has seen the reasons why we need this now. Initially, it used to be a like niche domain to work with, and getting an expertise into this domain used to be a challenge, because obviously our curriculums in colleges were not to think about network layers and what all can go wrong. But uh, giving a context to your system, creating a project, your DevOps project on a tool like ChatGPT or Gemini, uh, tries to give you the loopholes which can be there. Where have you exposed your keys? Where have you exposed your passwords for Elastics? Or maybe where have you not defined proper ingress rules, which can be haunting at any day when your company grows large, because that further results into attacks. And those things can be avoided now just by passing on to your project or contextual information and trying to get those loopholes sorted. So this power has been given to anyone who is just entering the DevOps now, and he can also analyze what are the best security practices which should be implemented on any code which they are writing, or any script which they are writing, especially if it exposes any passwords or keys.
Hey, Diwas, sorry I cut you off. Can I just reclaim being a host? Because I guess some people are waiting in the queue and they are unable to join in. So,
Sure, sure. Let me try to get them in. Okay. I've added both of them. Run of
yes, whoever's coming in case you can accept it.
Yes, I have accepted it. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rakhi. So now moving on to real life examples. Most of you must have heard about CI/CD. Jenkins is a popular tool for CI/CD in most of the companies. It's an open source tool which can be self-hosted as well, which most of the companies opt in because it's cost saving as well as easy to use, and used to. Why it was popular? Because it used to have a lot of community around it, and solving things, any issues related to Jenkins was easier because of a huge community which was present. We also were using Jenkins, and the pipelines used to take very, very, very long times. And since again, team constraints are there, size constraints, bandwidth issues are there, and no one used to look onto those things for solving, because you are always involved with something. That's how corporate structures are, which every one of us is aware about. But with GPT, that time constraint has reduced, and doing simple things like parallelizing your pipelines uh, is easier. You can just put in your script, your complete build script, and you get all those suggestions that these things can be optimized, and eventually you can improve those scripts to an extent that, which I'll show you as well in this PPT. But time durations can be multifold reduced, and which eventually results in faster deployments, and that night time which every DevOps does not like of deployment can be reduced from hours to minutes. So all those things can be done. uh, Similarly, in our case, obviously there were some security concerns, like credential stores were not implemented, Docker layer caching was not there for uh, it was fetching the files again and again. All those libraries were downloaded again. Similarly, modernizing. So we were using SCDs plus YAMLs, but now we have moved to Helms and Customize, which are much faster and the modern way of doing things. So that legacy has gone away, and we are at par with what's going on latest in the market. Docker file optimization. So, as I told you before, there was a particular deployment which used to take almost 2 hours, and it was working on Alpine 3.14, and we didn't go for anything. So the use case was as simple as that. We saw that a particular deployment takes almost 2 hours to deploy, and we just took the Docker file and pasted it on GPT, and eventually the suggestions brought it down to 10 minutes. And when I say 10 minutes, obviously it involved a lot of experience which was there with us, with me and my person working with me, that yes, the things which we are doing or we are about to do will not break everything out. That knowledge gain has to be there when you are changing things on production pipelines. But yes, you can always do those things on sandboxes. We did directly on production, and it literally took us 15 to 20 minutes, and we were all sorted, and we went to production directly because we have been using GPT for 1.5 years now, and we have gained that expertise on what prompts to be written in order to get things in the best possible way. And that context is already given as projects to my pro version of GPT. So that will come later, whether you'll be opting on for pro or not. But yes, these things are modernizing and you need to catch up on those things. So AI suggested swapping of just Python library. We are using Alpine, which is the lightweight. Everyone suggests you on up the whenever you're talking, maybe in a pub or in a meeting room, that which image should I be using for Python? Everyone says Alpine because it's lightweight, it's smaller in size, reduces load. But it's not always the best choice when you're working with huge projects, especially which involve open wheels and library and binary compilations on the image, because Alpine does not have MUCLs, and since it does not have, so binaries were to be given, those to be downloaded, and that all was avoided when we started using Slim Bullshare, which does have all those compilers in place already. So libraries like OpenCV, Tesseract, these were built in no time, almost in no time, and that eventually reduced the overall time. So that's a minimal change from changing the image of the Linux. And this is a real screenshot of Jenkins. It used to take, and it's hardly some time back. It used to take 2 hours 38 minutes. Now it takes hardly 2 minutes 56 seconds. 2 minutes 56 seconds is average time. So that is something which you can avoid taking a look at, because that is on regressive builds and caching is involved. But yes, overall time duration has reduced to almost 7 to 8 minutes, and at uh, much more changes in libraries, or it may takes maximum 10 minutes. So from 2 hours 30 minutes to 10 minutes is a huge jump. And if you're deploying something at night, you start at 10, you leave at 12:30. Instead of that, you start at 12 and you leave at 12:15. That's safer, less time consuming, and obviously has changed things for me. I say from logs, this is again a real life example where we were dealing with Celery servers, with Kubernetes nodes which were there. So we had multiple nodes. Eventually, we identified that the same task was being, so because of some backend developer things and those configs were missing, we identified same task was running twice or thrice. That is the number of nodes which were present for Celery, which eventually was turning a nightmare because multiple tasks were failing. Again, that could have been because of any DB write, which was on a unique identifier that was there. Uh, so, to overall time which it took for us to think about what is going wrong was hardly, I think, 2.5 hours to think about what was going wrong, because the bugs were not directly targeting Celery, or were not giving that this is because of Celery or multiple tasks being scheduled at Celery, because it was coming from Celery pods, but with code level issues on Sentry. So, which uh, for which we had to analyze time logs for a particular period when bugs were there for on Sentry, and that analysis and everything was given directly to GPT to analyze, and eventually we were able to identify the issue, solve it, and deploy it. And those log files, which were like thousands of lines long, was something, because in the production environment, if you have seen a log file, it takes a lot of logs in every second. So that all analysis time was reduced, and we were able to identify things, make changes on backend, make changes on DevOps, and things were working fine. I like imagining the same situation around 3 years back. It would have taken a day or two for anyone in DevOps to, maybe someone who is too much involved into things might have taken similar time, who is as intelligent as GPT. But still, as far as the people I know, it would have taken 1 to 2 days for anyone to resolve that particular issue and bring it to final production table with confidence. Legacy modernization, I think I've already spoken about that a lot in detail. And all those things can be done very easily. Uh, Migrating scripts is very easy, and trust me, the confidence level. So there are multiple tweaks which you can do while using GPT, which you explore while you're using it for a long time. But you can set things like temperatures and confidence levels while GPT answers are given. So once you have hold of those things, trust me, you can trust on things which GPT provides. Obviously, with caution, I would still recommend you go for dev environments first or sandboxes first to implement whatever you're doing. But yes, uh, you can do experiments at a very quick pace. If there are three options, three things which are suggested to you, you can do that in like an hour or so and decide on which one's working best for your use case. So that experimentation time, uh, that thinking time has reduced because you can experiment faster, and since you can experiment faster, you can always have the best output which suits your particular use case, especially when you are asking for things like, so if you come across any keyword that, yo, this is the latest keyword in market and I want to do things around that, uh, that is just the keyword that you supply with what you are thinking your use case, and you will have multiple options on your screen what can be done around it. uh, Again, engineers are not going away. That is something for sure. And as I can see it, engineers who use AI are definitely going to be there. People who think that it's still a buzzword or it's not a reality have to be cautious about it, because uh, again, an example from my own company, we used to have a strength around 2 years back of around 50 to 60 developers, which has reduced significantly, and still the efficiency and the code cycles or releases which we are doing is at the same pace. So anyone who is thinking that it's not the time, or maybe let things mature, let's see how things are unfolding, no, you need to be sure about one thing, that you have to explore it. You have to go into details of when and how it starts hallucinating, and you need to think, yes, that I have to use it irrespective of anything. Even if you want to start with the free version is as good as anything which you can learn from, and learning is the key. Your knowledge, if you don't have knowledge, it can give you nightmares beyond imagination. If you implement something and so some configurations without knowing what that configuration does to your code, you can believe me, you will have nightmares about what's happening and what's going wrong, and which you will it will be very difficult for you to handle. So understanding the code which has been generated is definitely the key. That knowledge has to be there, that pedigree has to be there. You need to understand whatever has been generated. Even if you are as easily as I said that you can experiment on things, do experiment on things, select an option, get a final production level thing for yourself. But before deploying, you need to understand every line which you are about to deploy. And best part is that you can ask GPT itself or Gemini itself to explain what they have written for you. So, but do not deploy anything if you are not aware about even a single word on that particular config file. Uh, Final thoughts, we'll share with best practices. Assistant, it's an assistant, not a crutch. You should be aware about those things. You should be very curious that why something is generated. If you are curious about that, it will grow your knowledge, and eventually it will help you to write the right prompts in order to get results in minimum iterations on GPT itself. That's it. So that's more or less about how Gen AI is changing everything in DevOps, as far as we can discuss in this short duration allotted by ZopDev and Raki. I'm open to any questions related to Gen AI and DevOps which are in your mind for this session.
So, first of all, thank you so much for the wonderful and such an informative session, Diwas. This was really nice.
Thank you, Raki.
And now we have around 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A. In case you have any questions, do let Divas know and he will help you out in the best way possible. So please, you can drop in your questions or you can just unmute and let us know.
Yeah, hi Rivas.
Hi, Satyam.
I have a question like what all the skills should the DevOps engineer like start learning to make the most out of the Gen AI tools to increase his knowledge also?
Pardon, so I missed your initial part.
I have a question like what skills should a DevOps engineer start learning to make the most out of Gen AI tools?
So, if you are already working, are you already working somewhere?
Yes, a bit.
Yes. Okay. So, best part to start learning anything is implementing it in your own organization. If you have been given a responsibility of even the smallest or tiniest piece of code or piece of service for maintaining, then start with learning what all context is around it, and then start giving prompts to GPT about what you don't understand of it. So that is the starting point where you will think, okay, this is something in my particular service that I'm not aware of, that I should learn. That learning starts from there. Now when you are learning, you will realize, okay, this seems to be old because I've heard something else somewhere, and how can I change this particular service to the latest version, or to the latest word or the buzzword which is going on in the market, or the latest service which is there in market. So
Yeah.
starting point is, think of your own code which you have been given responsibility for. Learning starts from necessity, and necessity in job is obviously your own job. So
Yeah.
in order to maintain that, you start with something like that. There is no particular topic to learn about. Since the things are as easy as using WhatsApp, you should not think or waste time on thinking what to or where to start.
Okay. Thank you, Divas.
Sure.
Hi, Divas. I have a question.
Hi, Arunesh.
Yeah, actually, how Gen AI will be reliable on developing the infrastructures like with the Terraform, writing Helm charts.
Yeah. So the key lies again with the knowledge. How well do you know Helm is something which will decide how long will you take with Gen AI to implement something. So if so, see, this is just what I was telling Satyam. You have a use case that you need to migrate things to Helm, right?
Yeah.
We Once you start learning about Helm, what all Helm provides, how is it different from the previous SEDs or which we used to do scripting with, and once you realize the power and advantages of using Helm, then it will be easier for you to modify small code pieces instead of changing everything in one go. So those script portions which you need to replace with Helm, try with one portion, then another portion, then another portion, and then you will get that particular confidence that yes, things are working in the right direction. Because if you try to change the complete thing in one go, trust me, the longer replies ChatGPT gives, the more irreliable it goes. So
Yeah.
smaller replies are the best thing to go for implementations with.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey Divas,
Right, Chandana.
I have some question. Like any open source Gen AI tools available for DevOps?
Well, I haven't used any so far. I've only used Gemini and OpenAI, so I won't be able to answer anything related to that.
Okay.
Hey, Bhavas, I have a question. So, at what extent can we use Gen AI for? Because I think it's more of like a human tendency that start using Gen AI and get like you would want Gen AI to finish your work, right? But you also, as a human, should understand what you're. So where do you actually draw the line there?
Yeah. So uh, the thing is, it's what sort of change you're about to do that you need to understand first. So even if you provide the complete context, it might not understand your network layer, it might not understand your ingress layer, or it might not understand what the firewall rules are. And why uh, having those, even after giving those rules, you need to understand that you cannot take things to that extent. A complete service can be created by Gemini. As I told, I think Arunesh as well, you go into smaller chunks first. Trust me, you can go for a production level code as high as ours, which includes around 20 microservices with Docker and Kubernetes, and that all has been created uh, via GenAI only. But obviously, it was in chunks. It was not created in a single night. So again, understanding every portion which has been created is crucial in order to create something big. So you can take things, there's no limit to what you can take to production or not, especially when I'm talking about DevOps. On backend code, there does exist a limit because contextual understanding of data on DVs is very difficult. And that too with legacy code, it does not make sense as well. But on DevOps, yes, you can build small chunks, join them together, and take things to any extent on DevOps for building up things on production.